Hello everyone and welcome back to our English lessons for level 3. This is unit 7, then and now. In this unit we're gonna study past simple 1, regular verbs and irregular verbs, silent letters and special occasions. So let's get started with exercise number 1, when I was young. Here we study the past simple with regular verbs. Regular verbs in the past end with ed. Okay, so read and listen to Matty Smith's Life Now and complete text A with the verbs you hear. So listen and complete.
Unit 7. Tape script 7.1.
Matty Smith is 91 years old. She lives alone in Atlanta, Georgia. She starts her day at 7:30. First, she has a bath. Next, she cleans the house. And then she sits outside on her veranda and thinks about her past life. Then she writes poems about it.
Okay, so you can listen to the audio for more than one time and write the verbs that you hear in this audio. Then you can check your answers after 1 minute. So I'm going to pause the video now until I finish writing the verbs. So as you can see here, we read a passage about Matty Smith, and this is in the present or her life now. So we say is 91 years old. She lives, she starts, she has a bath, she cleans, she sits outside on her veranda. This is, if you look at the photo, this is a veranda. It's a place in front of the house. Thinks and writes. So all the verbs here are in the present and they end with S because we talk about singular noun. But if you talk about yourself, you say I live, I start, I have a bath, or I have a shower, I clean. So this is present. Now you are going to read and listen to text B about Matt's life a long time ago. So here we have another text, but in the past. So listen to this text. It's in the past.
Tape script 7.2.
Matty was never at school. She lived with her mother and 4 sisters. She started work when she was 8. She worked in the cotton fields from 6 in the morning to 10 at night. She couldn't read or write, but she could think, and she created poems in her head.
Okay, so here the verbs are in the past. So look again. Matty was never at school. We don't say Matty is never at school. We talk about something in the past. It's finished. So we say Matty was never at school. She lived. We don't say she lives. No, she started. She worked. And she couldn't read. We don't say she can't read. No, we use can or can't in present, but could or couldn't in the past. So she couldn't read. It means she wasn't able to read. But now you can say she can't read now. In the past, she couldn't read. She could think in the past. Now she can think. She created poems. It means she made poems in her head. She created poems يعني صنعت أو خلقت أو أنشأت poems قصائد in her head. But now she writes poems. So what's the difference between present and the past? In present, we use verb 1. In the past, we use verb 2. So look here, use the verb live. Now she lives alone. You say she lives alone, but when she was a child, in the past, when she was a child, she lived with her mother and sisters. So when you talk about present, we use the verb s or no s. You can say I live, she lives. I play, she plays. But in the past, I lived, she lived. We use verb to. What is the past of is? Of course, was or were, and the past of can, could. Now, what is the past form of these verbs? We want to write verb to of these verbs. Look, looked with ed. Looked. Work, worked. ed. Love, loved. d. Learn, you can say learned with t. Learned or learned with ed. Earn, earned. ed. Marry, married. It will be IED. So we change Y into IED. So I will write it like this, married. Look at any verb that ends with Y. We look at the letter before Y. If it is vowel, like play, or pray, or stay, here we have a vowel before Y, A, play, pray, stay, so we will add ed. But if we don't have a vowel before Y, like study, it will be studied in the past. Marry, it will be married, and so on. So IED, IED, because we don't have a vowel before Y. Die, died. Hate, hated. So any verb that ends with E, we just add D. Want, wanted. Now, what's the meaning of learn? I am a teacher, so I teach you English. You are a student, so you learn English. Earn money, so I work as a teacher and I earn just, you can say, 3,000 reals a month or 5,000 reals a month. So here we talk about money, earn. Die, it means stop living, pass away. So my grandfather died 10 years ago, for example. Hate, it means I don't love. Now read and listen to Matty talking about her past life and try to complete the text using the past simple form of these verbs in exercise number 3. As I told you, all these verbs are in the past and they end with D or ED or IED, so they are regular verbs. Regular verbs end with ED. Use these verbs to complete this text.
Tape script 7.4.
I worked from 6 in the morning until 10 at night. 16 hours in the cotton fields, and I only earned $2 a day. I sure hated that job, but I loved the poems in my head. I really wanted to learn to read and write. When I was 16, I married Hubert, and soon there were 6 children, 5 sons, then a daughter, Lily. Hubert died just before she was born. That was 65 years ago. So I looked after my family alone. There was no time for learning, but my children, they all learned to read and write. That was important to me. And when did I learn to read and write? I didn't learn until I was 86, and now I have 3 books of poems.
Okay, so you can listen to this audio for just 1 more or 2 more times. Write the verbs that you heard from this exercise number 3. Pause the video, then play the video after 3 minutes and check your answers. Okay? So here are the answers. You can check your answer. You can listen again and look at the verbs. All these verbs are in the past and they are regular because they end with ed. So look here. Where does she live now? Where did she live in 1950? We use do or does to make a question in the past, in present, but we use did to make a question in the past. Where does she live? The answer, she lives. We add s. She lives in London, in anything, okay? So she lives, but in question, where does she live? We don't say where does she lives. In the past, where did she lived? In the answer, we say she lived in. She lived in. So in question, we don't say where did she lived? No. Where did she live? For negative, look, she didn't learn to read until she was 86. So after didn't, we use verb 1. We use verb 1. We don't add ed. So to make a sentence in the past, you say, for example, I played tennis yesterday. What does that mean? It means that I did something in the past and it's finished. It doesn't happen now. I played tennis yesterday, so finished. If you want to make negative, you say I didn't play football yesterday. I didn't play. Don't say I didn't play it. For question, you can say, did you play? Did you play? Don't say did you play it. Did you play football yesterday or last week? So the answer should be, yes, I did. Yes, I did. Or no, I didn't. You can say, what did you play yesterday? What did you play? I played tennis. So to make questions here, we use did plus verb 1. Number 1, when did she start work? She started work when she was 8 years old. Number 2, where? She in the cotton fields. So what can we say? Yes, great. Where did she work? Where did she work? Where did she work? She worked in the cotton fields. So try to complete these questions. Pause the video for 2 minutes, then play the video and check your answers. Okay, here we go. Here are your answers. Check them. So in all these questions, we use did plus verb 1. Start, work, live, work, earn, marry, die, learn. But in the answer, we use verb 2. She started work when she was 8. She worked in the cotton fields. She lived with her mother and sisters. She worked 16 hours a day. She earned $2 a day. She married Hubert. Hubert died 65 years ago. ago, it means before. So when you say I played football 2 hours ago, it means before 2 hours from now. And here she didn't learn. So to make a sentence positive, we use verb 2, played, worked, lived. Negative, didn't plus verb 1, didn't play, didn't go, didn't work, didn't live. For question, we use did plus verb 1. Let's move on to another exercise talking about you. And here we want to use did, was, or were. We studied was or were before.